Perfect. Awesome. All right, everyone. Hi, it's 6:05. We're going to go ahead and get started. My name is Diana Stephanie Lara, and I am the co-lead for the Emory Latinx Alumni Network here in Atlanta. And I am so happy to see some new faces. So I'm really excited that you are joining us for our Cafecito and Social Impact event. And we have two really awesome representatives that will be talking today. So really quick, I wanted to share a little bit about the Emory Latinx Association and tell you what our goal and our mission is. So our goal is to maintain and seek to expand a network of alumni at Emory University in order to organize, serve, and advocate for Emory's Latinx community. And we hope to develop a sense of community that offers networking opportunities, social events, a newsletter, and membership through online platforms. So hopefully you have seen our Latinx newsletter, which was actually sent by one of our members last month. And we also want to support and advocate for non-discriminatory and diverse working, living, and academic experience at Emory. We want to also connect with students and provide educational opportunities, whether it's through scholarship, mentorship, and support, and also participate in Emory's alumni admission network and alumni association activities, and be a representative for our community and advocate for them. So thank you again all for being here. We will start off with Grounds for Empowerment. Giselle Barrera is going to talk about the Goizueta program, and then we will have Chica Bean and Josue give a little bit about their company and their fermentation process, and then we will get into the coffee demos. So I'm really excited to learn about new coffee techniques, and I hope you are too. So without further ado, I will hand it off to Giselle.
Thank you, Diana. I'm so happy to be here. Thanks, guys, for joining. And this Cafecito and Social Impact, like Diana said, I'm with Grounds for Empowerment. We are a program that works with women coffee producers in Latin America. I am currently based in El Salvador. I am an alumna from the full-time MBA program of Goizueta Business School. So I'm just super excited to be here with all of you and talk a little bit about what we do at GFE, which is more of like think of it like an accelerator program, like a business accelerator program for women coffee farmers, like high potential women coffee farmers. And then we are fortunate enough to have a network of mentors like Josue from Chica Bean, who have companies that are really committed to supporting farmers and making sure that the coffee that the money that you spend in your coffee actually supports the people that are, working really hard to grow coffee. So we're really excited and want to thank, for this opportunity to share a little bit about the work that we do. So I'm going to share my screen real quick, and I am going to share just a couple of slides and photos. So here is a photo of our last workshop with farmers in El Salvador. A little bit of a funny story. This workshop closed right before the pandemic hit. The team of the Goizueta students, Emory College students were here in El Salvador, and were able to make their flights home as they were, in the middle of closing airports. And it's the last time that I remember hugging multiple people on the same day was when this photo was taken. So yeah, this is just like a little bit of a funny story. And here to show you guys how we are connected. So we are under the umbrella of Social Enterprise of Goizueta. Social Enterprise of Goizueta is one of the research centers of Goizueta Business School, and we we work in research and action-driven programs that try to support entrepreneurship. One of the key areas is entrepreneurship. If you guys don't know about the Start Me program that Social Enterprise of Goizueta executes in Atlanta, they work with micro entrepreneurs in the Atlanta area, and they provide business trainings as well. We work under the coffee umbrella, and like I said, we work with women coffee farmers. We've worked with coffee farmers in Guatemala, Nicaragua, and El Salvador. So this is just a little bit of, I just wanted to show some photos of our farmers. So we recruit very diverse cohorts of women coffee farmers, and this means diverse in age, in the size of their farms, and where they are located. Some farmers are selling their coffee roasted locally. Some farmers sell their green coffee and they export it. Some farmers, like are still looking for connections to the market. So this was our last cohort in Guatemala, and one of the things that we just love to see is that not only after they, of course, leave the program and they graduate, they very much like to stay connected and share resources and opportunities. Now with the pandemic, we've noticed a lot more, unsurprisingly, a lot more buzz and in the WhatsApp groups and just sharing information and webinars and opportunities. So that's like an added bonus that, some of these farmers said, without this program, I wouldn't really have met all these awesome women farmers from all over my country, right? So we're very happy to be able to be a part of this effort. And like I said, it wouldn't be possible without, well, the support, of course, of Emory University, of, Goizueta, some of our independent donors and mentors, like the team at Chica Bean, who join us at our workshop in Guatemala and share their insights and their experience in the coffee business world, which is even before the pandemic hit, was very much, like a complex to understand. And just to talk a little bit about our model, like I said, we have a cohort of farmers. You saw a photo of them. We have learning modules that are designed by the Goizueta Business School team and that are co-facilitated with students. So we train students in coffee, which, it's kind of like a specialty in its own to read and learn about coffee. And then we also train them in the business tools that we developed for farmers to work with. And then our next goal is to provide market connections, Josue will talk a little bit about how, like, the work that they do to support farmers and how when you think of an entrepreneur that is isolated, like, and it's not connected to just market opportunities. And if you think of a farmer that's on the top of a mountain growing her coffee, it's important for them to have access to support networks and mentors and people that want to champion for them, which is what Chica Bean does, which is why we're so happy to have them here with us. And then a little bit about like partnerships that we do. We work with IWCA, which is International Women's Coffee Association. We work with different nonprofits like TechnoServe, Prome Café. An interesting update is that with the pandemic, for the very first time, we are running a fully virtual business tool workshop. So our preference, of course, is to meet with farmers in person, where we can, do trainings and we work with like sheets of paper and just, scribble in our notebooks and work in before we go into the spreadsheets. But now we are supported by a team of local students in El Salvador. So not only are we working with farmers in a Zoom workshop, but for the students in El Salvador and for the students in Atlanta, it's a little bit of like an exchange program when no one's traveling. So if you think like all the exchange students are either stuck in the US or wherever they are, or they were stuck at home and left without the chance to visit Emory or visit some other great universities, all over the world. So we're trying to like put a grain of sand in providing opportunities like cultural exchange opportunities and learning from the farmers, from the other students who are, living in a different country, even if we're doing this via Zoom. And it's been a really good experience. And we hope that we can continue to do that, given that this new normal is continuing at least for the short-term future. So just a little bit about what we do. I will write in the chat our website, our Instagram. We post updates from our farmers, what they're up to, about our workshops, how you can support. Often people ask if GFE if we sell coffee, and the truth is that like we like selling coffee as Josue will explain, it's like an art in its own. So we're very much committed to supporting businesses like Chica Bean that continue our mission in providing opportunities and empowering farmers so that they get their good price for their coffees, right? Which is, it's a challenge. But through the pandemic, we are running a momentum campaign. So I will leave that link for that as well through Emory. And what this does, that it allows us that we can continue running workshops for specialty coffee farmers and for these awesome women entrepreneurs. So I will share links for social media, for our website, where we can, you can learn more about the work that we do, and for the momentum campaign. So we are just super excited to, spread the word about the work that we're doing and that our mentors and supporters are doing, like Chica Bean. And yeah, I would just encourage you guys that, pre-pandemic, but now even more, like every purchase that you make has such a big impact, right? So every dollar, now we are all, I know we're more conservative with our expenses. So every dollar that you put out into the market has a chance to like make a major impact in someone's life. So I know that the Chica Bean team is based in Guatemala and just, like very close and very, in touch with our farmers. So yeah, feel free to reach out. We are all, an Emory family. And yeah, thanks for joining. And I guess that's my time.
Yes, that's awesome. Thank you
yeah.
so much, Giselle. Does anybody have any questions for her based on her brief presentation? Want to take some questions before moving to our next presenter. Awesome. Well, if you think of anything, feel free to put it in the chat. We'll be happy to answer those at the end as well. But if there are no questions at this moment, I will hand it over to Josue, and the floor is yours.
Hello to all. Good afternoon. Like they introduced, my name is Josue. This is our partner Abigail, and this is our newest barista Jessica.
Buenas tardes.
Hola, Jessica.
So yeah, just to talk, we have around 10 minutes to talk a little bit about Chica Bean, explain a little bit what we do, and then we're gonna move to make some coffee. The easy way, not the super long explaining way to make it complicated. We're going to make it easy.
Yeah, something you can do in the morning.
Yeah.
Before you've actually had your coffee.
So yeah, we're gonna make a French press. We're gonna do V60, and we're gonna finish with the mocha pot. So, but like I said, first we're gonna explain to you what we do at Chica Bean, and everything started almost 7 years ago now. My mother is one of the farmers, female farmers that we purchased the coffee, and she was gonna stop farming because of pricing, and she was getting tired of losing money, and that's not fun. So we said, okay, let's export coffee, clueless about it. And we started, like investigating and saying like, we're gonna do this, and just hitting those walls because the whole industry is built for volume, for green bean as well.
Volume and exporting coffee as a raw material out of producing countries and into consuming countries.
So a lot of obstacles, and thankfully we are very good asking for help, raising our hand in class, making questions, and awesome team builders and relationship builders. And that's something we're very, very good. And we figured out some ways to do it, and we started. We have some complications, but not terrible. And so far we are doing, this week we did 2 exports, but our goal for 2020 was to do 1 export per week. When we started the year, we were doing 1 per month, and we reached that. And our goal for next year is to do 3 per week. So when people go purchase in the website, pretty much 4 days later, 5 days max, they will have the coffee in their doorstep in the US, anywhere in the US. But that's not only what we do. We empower women. Well, I'm the only guy in the company by choice.
This is the Chico.
I'm the Chico Bean. Yeah, if you look at me in social media, I'm Chico Bean. Because I mean, it started with my mother, and we named it Chico Bean, and we just were like, oh, it will be very cool to have a company, you know, truly empowerment and making women work together. You know, like how do you say, providing the.
So we made a conscious decision to work only with female producers of coffee. Mm-hmm. And this is actually not that difficult, because realistically in the world of coffee, women are the principal actors. It's estimated that 70% of the labor force of all of coffee are women. Yet Guatemala is a perfect example of the fact, or of the statistic, that only about 18% of productions have a woman as an owner or even as a manager. So 70% of work is done by women, but less than 20% is led by women, and not just led, also compensated. Or when we talk about leadership, we're talking about compensation. So historically, women have and continue to do the majority of the work, yet are the least compensated. So Chica Bean arose as an opportunity not only to support a mother and a community that has become family, but also to share their stories and share their images in a way that they want to be shared, and also return that value of coffee back to the producing, back to the origin. And we've been lucky enough that we don't just focus on producers anymore. We now focus on, we roast an origin. Our roast master is also a woman. Her name is Evelyn, and she's the only female roast master that we know of in Guatemala. We also have the opportunity to work with baristas and to help train women in the community to continue to see coffee as an opportunity, which so frequently, especially in origin countries, coffee is not an opportunity. And it should be. And as consumers, we should all be working to ensure that that value is spread across, and it continues to be an opportunity and not just a dead end commodity.
Yeah. So, after saying that, we at Chica Bean, we sell the 3 process of coffee: wash coffee, honey processed coffee, and natural processed coffee. If you guys are familiar with all the terminology, I'm gonna do a quick explanation. Coffee, it's been treated in the past as a grain. And like corn, beans, you know, like all those familiar grains that we produce in our countries, in Central America, very famous beans. Better than in the US, of course. But yeah, so let's start with coffee. It's a cherry. Coffee, it's a fruit. So when we start training, when we started with this, we didn't realize about that. We have a training, actually this year, you don't think about it. And this year we have a training by Lucia Solis. She's an expert in coffee fermentation process. And, you know, we were thinking like, okay, she's gonna come and we're gonna have to invest in this stainless steel tanks, like have some oxygen in the tanks and control temperatures, times, and all this. But actually, coffee, it's about harvesting properly. You don't harvest a grape that it's already rotten and then put it in a tank to make wine. Coffee, like specialty coffee, it's about keeping the whole process clean. With cheap coffee, there's no way you can afford to have the the amount of time and you know, like skill detail harvest, having clean equipment, and you know, like using clean water, not water from who knows where, or recycled water. And when you process cheese, you don't use dirty water or to wash your tools, you know. So all those like basic, super important facts help us improve the quality so much. Then I'm gonna let Avi tell you a story about this year best batch with Susie.
Yeah, so we always buy from a group of female producers that as mentioned, not only in the family but a community that has become like family. Aileen and Josue, the two founders of Chica Bean, have been part of this community for more than 10 years now. And it had always been a promise to buy a certain amount of coffee from these women, which has been a little bit difficult because as a specialty coffee, we always had standards. And last year, especially, we realized that specifically one of our producers did not meet that standard, but we couldn't not purchase the coffee. There is already a commitment, and we can find ways to make that coffee good. It just wasn't the same as the rest of our stock. That coffee came from a woman named Susie, and it was rated at a 79 point on the SCA scale. We usually only, at that time, it was an 82 was our bottom. But again, we took the 79. It was our worst coffee, but we made it work. This year, whenever, as Josue mentioned, Lucia Solis came to the country and came and spent an entire week with our producers, and mainly with Susie. Susie was just like right under her nose the entire time, was asking questions. Why do you do this? And Lucia was very good at being like asking Susie to participate as well. Susie, will you write this down? Susie, take this temperature. Susie, please do this. And it was a very beautiful relationship. And at the end of the harvest, whenever we got everyone's coffee, we got Susie's, and we went and took it up to get it the quality tested. And she delivered possibly an 88 point coffee. So she went in 1 year with the help of with increased access to technology, increased access to education, and practical practice. She went from a 79 point coffee to an 88 point coffee. Yeah. In the specialty coffee world, that's unheard of. I mean, it's such a big jump. And what you're also talking about is not just work, but if you put monetary values to that, hundreds of dollars. It's so much money. And for Susie, who's the young mother of a young daughter, that's her only source of income. She does not have another job. That can completely change someone's living situation for the year. And it was awesome. It was great. Susie, we always say Susie is super pilas.
Yeah. And then we have the rest of stories, you know, like Evelyn, that now is our master roaster. She started working with my wife and I in the house as a nanny. And she also helped with lunch most of the time. And we realized that she was an amazing cooker. And she used always the nice spices. And I mean, she didn't need much of guidance in the kitchen. So we asked her if she wanted to learn how to roast coffee and put her skills on that. And she's been doing great. She was, by this far in the year, if we wouldn't be with COVID, she would be a curator already. She was in the process. And Todd, which is the curator teacher, I don't know how to say it, I think it's teacher. He wrote to us saying that she was one of the best in her class. And, you know, if we wouldn't have Chica Bean, if we wouldn't have the chance to, you know, support all this, it's a gift that she has naturally that there, And so thankfully, a lot of things are coming together. Jessica was being trained to be our barista. She's pretty good already. And so she's gonna help like making the coffee, and we're just gonna do the blah blah blah. And then we do the glue 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 because we can't share with you, unfortunately. But but yeah, so we're gonna start, and um, like we're saying in the beginning, we're gonna do French press, and we're gonna share some little tricks with you. We're gonna do a B60 and a maca pot. So this is our presentation on coffee. This is the natural process that we are gonna brew today. But we also have this big 5-pound bag for businesses, offices, and coffee shops.
And coffee addicts. Yeah. I mean, if you want.
So yeah, we're gonna start talking about the natural process. This coffee, it's from San Pedro, Jalapa. It's actually from my mother. Natural process for us takes a little bit longer than 30 days to process.
But what is natural process?
But what is a natural process? Thank you. So what natural process means, it's you harvest a cherry in the, in the best point of ripeness,
maturity.
The maturity, and we put it to dry under direct sun for 3 or 4 days max. After that, we finish the drying process under shade. And when I said under shade, I'm not talking about like plastic shading. It's like tin roof, and that's why it takes so long. But when we talk about honey and natural, people don't usually talk about fermentation, but it's actually fermenting by itself, not in a tank, but in the inside of it. There's yeast in the atmosphere. There's yeast on people when people it's harvesting. So all those microorganisms are doing their work inside of the bean. And after that, we bring it here to the dry mill. We take the skin off, the parchment off, polish it, and then we roast and serve. And we're doing natural because it's my favorite. I have to admit. I like that very complex body, the tropical fruits. So that's what we drink at home. And tricks for making your coffee. Do you want me to can I explain the French press? Mm-hmm. Y tú lo vas haciendo. Yo voy explicando un poquito y tú lo haces. Okay, so for the French press, what we usually found at homes are big ones. And this is what we usually use. Well, I think it's important to mention that with French press, after you compress this method, you have to serve it. Otherwise, you over extract your coffee. That's why we're going to use the small one and not the big one. So according to the amount of people you're going to have home, that's the size of the French press you should use. Another important factor to have in consideration is grinding. Grinding, water temperature, and the amount of water you're going to use is usually what you have to keep in mind, those 3 factors. So here we're going to use a scale, but it's only for, to give you some idea of how to measure it at home. But for this little French press, we are going to use 20 grams of water, which is around 3 tablespoons.
Of water?
No, of coffee. 20 grams of coffee. It's about
1.5. Or 2.
We have 1 here.
Also, is it possible to shift the camera a little bit so that we can see the process?
We should. Vamos.
Yes, awesome.
Okay.
Also, I have a question, Josue, because I make my coffee at home every morning, and there are so many variables, like what you guys can see. There's the way of the coffee, there's the temperature of the water, there's the, like Josue said, the time at which you let the coffee and the water extract. There's also the how coarse you grind. So that's coffee that's freshly ground. So it's coffee that has just been ground. And if it's too coarse, or if it's like, all of that has an impact on just the perfect cup of coffee and the flavor. But what do you think, Josue, it's like if I have to choose, because like I don't have a scale, I don't really have like a thermometer to measure the temperature of the water when I make my coffee. But what do you think is like the biggest factor on the flavor of my coffee every morning, so that it, I don't know.
For my consideration, it will be the how do you grind your coffee and water temperature. The first flavors the first thing that you extract from coffee is acidity. Then you extract the sweetness, and at the end you extract bitterness. So it depends how do you want your coffee. You keep those three factors in balance. Another thing is that we're gonna see that on the maca pot, but you can also do bypass. And that means if you feel like your coffee is too strong, you can put a little bit of water to, make it easier to drink. And so what you see here, this is pretty much a big cup of coffee, and you put three tablespoons, a cup of hot water, and let me talk about the bubbles. And this. Oh. Yes, this is 1 tablespoon. And how to know what's the right temperature for the water when you don't have a thermometer? Well, that turns out to be very simple to figure it out. We are very high here. So we are at 2,200 meters above sea level. And water started boiling here at 88 degrees. So when we started classes, our trainer told us, like, just look at the water. And you're gonna see when it starts bubbling, that's when you turn off the flame. Let the water stop making those little bubbles, and that's the right temperature to brew your coffee. So you don't need a thermometer. Just look at your water, stop boiling, it stops making the bubbles, then that's when you pour your coffee. That will be the right temperature at your altitude. So with the French press, we are gonna wait 5 minutes, and then we're gonna compress. And like I said, if you let the coffee sit in the French press for too long, then your coffee is gonna get very, very bitter. So some people like that, and that's okay. But if you don't like that, then you pour your coffee after 5 minutes in your cup. So right now it's 2 minutes and 20 seconds. And if you have more questions, we'll be happy to answer.
So what was that little tool that she was using to like mix it? Is it just a spoon?
It's just a spoon that is 7 grams. Oh, this one.
Yes, that one.
Yeah, this is like the fancy coffee stuff that you purchase when you don't know where to spend your money.
And I would almost say to Giselle's question, honestly, the most important thing or factor in coffee is probably the coffee itself. just making sure that it's a good quality, that it's fresh. You be careful buying coffee in supermarkets because most likely it has been there for 3 months. Look for something that's fresh and good. And what you're gonna find is, yeah, maybe your first day your coffee won't be perfect, but the next day, as you go playing around with the different factors in your home, figuring out your equipment, you're gonna find what tastes good to you. And al final del día, the most important thing is that you like the coffee that you're preparing.
Yeah, and I would say, Abby, that's a great point. I would say also that this is a great time to experiment a little bit with your coffee. You might, chances are you are not spending your $2-3 if you really enjoyed a chain coffee cup. This is a great time to like order some really good beans and experiment in your home and learn. And it's just such a cool skill to, like, if you have, you know, I don't know, at the office, whenever everyone's back at the office, or for friends or family members. I know my mom, my parents, my abuelita is always super happy that I make the cafecito now and how it tastes differently and it doesn't hurt their stomach and they don't need to put a lot of sugar in it because it doesn't burn. So yeah, thank you for that. I think that's a great point. It's really important to have good quality coffee.
Yeah. Also with the French press, it produces what it's known as a dirty cup because it's, you know, a lot of the grinded coffee goes through the mash. But if you don't like that, you just grind it a little coarser, you know? And like Giselle said and Abby said, the most important thing is that you like your coffee. And honestly, when you get a good, fresh coffee, if you follow the basics, mostly the water temperature, it's gonna come out great. Yeah. And another thing that we found out here, because we have our own water system in Lent, yeah. Our water is very, it's rich in metal, in iron, and it's very heavy. So if we use water from our pipes, it doesn't taste good. So keep that in mind as well. Maybe you guys, oops, I don't know if you can see. Yes, there it is. Yeah. So now she's gonna serve. And maybe water is not your friend where you live. Some parts in the States are like that.
Missouri.
Abby says me sorry, but don't tell anyone.
And I would say, even if, I don't know, so like I've been told that even if the water is good, like I have my water from my Ecofiltro, for instance. Ecofiltro, if you guys don't know them, you should check them out. Ecofiltro.com, I think. It's a Guatemalan company that has like filters. It's like clay. Anyways, it's just really cool. It's like this clay filter and it works really well. But I've been told, Josue, that I shouldn't use my Ecofiltro water, that I should use like purified water because that would like make a difference in the taste. So I don't know. And I'm so jealous because that coffee looks really good.
Salud.
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 That's a dirty
and
cup.
You will feel, and then you will feel so like such a big difference, you guys, when like obviously like you'll smell it, it will smell different, like it will taste different. And also, and it's part of the research work that we do, you can read about the story of the farmer whose farm you're purchasing coffee from, and it's a whole other experience as a consumer, as you know, if you care about where your products come from and the families and the communities that grow them, coffee is a great place to start in terms of support.
We like to say a lot of times that, you know, start your day with impact. Most people drink coffee every day, and it's such an easy thing to do to find a responsibly sourced coffee that, you know, you feel great about it. And also it's a delicious cup. So you feel great on so many different levels. Yeah.
I had a question about going back to the water. I
Yeah.
know a lot of people just have like regular, maybe filtered water, but is there another type that maybe is better?
So, well, we do use like the salvavidas. So we use a not pre-made. We use water that has been filtered because also, yeah, our eco filter just doesn't. There's still a taste from all the minerals that's in it.
Verdad. Yeah, that's what I've heard as well.
To the point where it's almost salty. Whenever you make a cup of coffee with it, it just, you know, we know our coffee is great. We've had our coffee incredibly, but there's been so many times whenever we've been trying to prepare coffee here and we couldn't figure out why there was something funky. And it was because even we were using good water, clean water, water that we drink every day, but there was just those minerals in it. So here in Guatemala, we use a brand called Agua Puro Salvavidas. And I mean, it's great. And it turns out that's, I think, what most cafes in Guatemala use. Yeah. So are we going to move to V60 now? This is a little bit more complicated than the French press.
Yeah.
As Josue said, French press is pretty much what everyone has at home, right? It's what they have on hand. So we're going to be using, this is a little bit more complicated. It is a filter. So instead of the submersion of the French press, this is a pour over. It includes the paper filter, which completely strains out the coffee grinds from the water. So Jessica is going to show us the first steps. It is a little bit more complicated than a French press, but realistically, after doing it 1, 2, 3, 3 times, it becomes kind of like second nature. Yeah. So the first step, whenever using or creating or making a pour over and using that paper filter, is to always wash the filter. Just like we were saying how water can add flavors to your coffee, the filter you're using can also add flavors to your coffee. I literally kind of like a paper flavor. And so the first step you always do is you just rinse the paper filter with hot water. That also works to calentar the vessel. So you preheat the vessel. Also a nice detail to add.
I have a question about preheating the vessel, guys. I've been told also to preheat my French press. Do you guys think it makes a difference or no? Like not worth it for the French press? Like put hot water before, just like rinse it with hot water to preheat.
I mean, to preheat the vessel itself, yeah, it's fine, but it's not as important as a pour over because being a submerged method, the water stays in it and is able to preheat the whole thing continuously, while the pour over is actually, the water only has a certain amount of contact with it. But actually, I just told you, I didn't realize the V60 was not just a plain V60. We're doing this Japanese style. So preheating the vessel is also not important. It's the opposite. Japanese style pour over means that you just put ice directly into the vessel, and as you're brewing the coffee, it is brewed directly over the ice. And this is a super easy way to make iced coffee at home. It's my favorite way. And what are we using? The dark roast?
No, it's a natural. It's just the
bag
says.
Perfect.
The bag says dark.
So natural processed Japanese style is my favorite. This cup is going to come out sweet. This coffee is going to come out clean. This is just a really great iced coffee that is fantastic to have at home. It's something, if I was in the United States, I'd be happy to pay like $4 for. It's
something like this, yeah.
Yeah, it's excellent.
So yeah, it's on this recipe, it's pretty much 2 full tablespoons, and the secret with the V60 is to be constant when you're pouring the water. And by constant, you're gonna see that she's gonna be pouring some little amounts of coffee. But first, she's doing what it's called the bloom.
And Josue, also the course, how the grinding of the coffee is different for this method versus for the French press also, right? Like yeah.
So what you see there is the degasification of the coffee by getting in contact with water. And she wait like 30 seconds to get those gases relieved. And now she's gonna be pouring the water constantly into the V60 in order to let it extract better.
And yeah, and Giselle, going back to your point, definitely correct. So the V60 will use a grind that is a little bit finer than the French press. French press, you usually use a coarse grind, and this is a medium fine grind.
And because we are on COVID time, we have visitors. So if you
Hey, hey.
The family.
Hello.
And also Cafecito is such a big part of like the childhood Latin culture. I remember having coffee with my grandma at such a young age that when I would tell friends from anywhere else in the world, they would be like, "You drank coffee when you were like 7 or 8?" And I was like, "Yeah, with pan dulce, like sweet breads with my abuelita, like." And yeah, so the coffee experience is something that's very near and dear. And now that I get to make really good coffee for her, it's something that's like really special. Yeah, it's great memory. Yeah. Oh, thank you for the recommendation on the French press, guys, on preheating, dumping the water, keeps water. Yeah, good to know. Thank you. I'll do that tomorrow with my French press because that's my go-to in the morning. Thanks for the tip.
So when you're using a drip method, how do you say method?
Pour over.
Pour over. The ideal is to last less than 5 minutes, the whole process. With this V60, we're gonna be around 3 minutes, 3.5. And like I said, the first flavors you extract from coffee, acidity, sweetness, and then bitterness. So we don't want to make it too long in order to appreciate the acidity and the sweetness in the coffee.
So
And also this pouring
sorry.
that Jessica is using right now, this kind of little bit consistency, is actually called the South Korean V60 method. So, you know, baristas all over the world have their own ways. There's new recipes to create coffee. And so Jessica has been trained from a local barista who only uses the South Korean method. And that's how she's learned and does it. But you can also do it other ways, which is just you basically pour all the water in and you let it drain. Again, it's going to give even that pouring method is going to change the flavor of the final cup. And it all depends on your preference as the drinker. That's what's important at the end of the day.
So let me tell you, this smells really good. Sorry, we cannot pass this to you. Yeah. We put a couple more cubes of ice. And you see, sorry again.
Wish we could share.
We'll have to go to Guatemala to try your coffee.
Yeah.
Or you can order in the United States.
Yes.
We deliver to you straight to your door.
Use your Emory ticket.
Salud.
Salud. Yeah.
¿Qué sabores encuentras en este?
Okay.
¿Encuentras un sabor?
Final but not less yummy, the mocha pot.
And
So,
would you recommend also like a different no sé, like espresso or like dark roast is better for mocha pot? I don't know. Anything you recommend when choosing the coffee for the mocha pot?
yeah, I would say on a mocha pot use espresso roast, and again it's based on your palate and what you like. So, but this couple of days when we were at home, we were drinking from this and we were using the espresso roast, and it was delicious. And like I said, if you feel like it's too thick for your or too strong for your taste, you can add some water.
Because the mocha pot is a pressure-based method, it will kind of cover up a lighter roast. So if you're using a lighter roast or a honey process, a natural process, that usually you'll find really delicate flavors in, the mocha pot will kind of cover those up. So that's why like a dark roast, an espresso roast, and yeah, those will make a really good mocha pot, and you're not covering up any of the natural flavors that you would find in some of the lighter roasts.
Yeah. And so for this recommendation is to take water up to like below the bowl here. You don't fill it up to the top. So yeah, so I'm just gonna leave it. This one doesn't have a line. Some of them do have like a line for people to know how high to get the water. If you search online, some people say like use preheated water. Others said like it doesn't make a difference. But I'm gonna use preheated water because to make it fast boiling in the stove.
Just be careful not to burn yourself.
Yes, because this is gonna get hot. So I'm just gonna take it up to that. And then, thank you. Then this is the top part that goes inside. On this, I'm gonna move the camera. Here we go. And from this coffee. Also, three tablespoons as well. And let me try my finger. Balance it. I'm gonna get fancy here because we have this. Otherwise, I want just to distribute the coffee and make it flat. And then we put the base, not the base, the top part. Oh, it's really hot. Like Avi said, be careful not to burn yourself. And we take it to the stove. So I'm gonna go to the stove here in the kitchen and put it here. And I'm gonna wait until it starts boiling, and then I will show you how it got in the inside. It should boil quick. So pretty much what you need at home uh, that we recommend, it's ideal, it's a grinder. And try not to get the grinders that are like blenders. It's better the other type. We call it dentados, but in English, burr? Conical? Burr grinder. Okay.
Cone?
Which is like a cone that smash the beans. Sometimes my English is not very good looking, but I try. I don't know if you guys in your families make that joke all the time, but in my family they do. Okay, started boiling on the bottom part. I hear it, and so actually, if I leave this open, it shouldn't make any change because it doesn't. The pressure on the top doesn't make any difference than the pressure on the bottom. So, come on, don't make me look bad here.
I feel like that would be like a less user friendly method for me. I probably would have that's why I like my French press and I have like a steady relationship. Like
It's smelling, so it's definitely doing the work now.
Is this process better for an espresso taste or not really?
Yeah, it's better for an espresso taste. If you like espressos, this is for you. And body, like strong body and coffee flavor. Oh. Also a good Americano because you can add the amount of water you want and it will taste really good.
And it makes a great base for home espresso drinks like a cappuccino, a home iced latte.
Now you're selling me the mocha pot a lot more.
It's very useful. You can look for how to make a cappuccino at home using a mocha pot.
You can make a cappuccino at home using a mocha pot, and then you foam with a French press.
Yeah, you can use your French press to foam the leche. That's true. Turn it on.
Nope. You wait until it's all the way done.
So right now I should be careful here. I can see the coffee. It's the other thing.
The fire is just really strong.
Yeah.
We usually wait until it's all the way done.
Yeah. So still making noises.
Look at it.
So when would you know that it's done? When it stops boiling?
Yep. When it stops boiling and stop throwing coffee around your stove, you know it's ready.
Hopefully not on your computer.
Hopefully not on your computer. So try to keep your computer far enough. Ahí está. Todavía tiene un poquito, pero. Smells really good. Yeah. And this is like an industrial stove too. In the kitchen stove, it behaves better. Let's see. Lo que estoy viendo es.
So does this typically serve like one person, like one or two people, or?
I don't know. You can serve. We were serving four at the beach a couple of days ago because telling you can add some water and make a nice Americano. It depends if you want espresso. Yeah, it will probably make a couple espressos.
So do you, like, if you want to make more, you just add more water and you keep the same coffee grounds in there?
Mm-hmm. Well, no. You have you pour this into the cup, and then in that cup you add the amount of water that you like.
Oh, okay. So you don't, okay, because it's really strong when it comes out directly from the mocha pot.
Yes.
It's like a concentrate.
That makes sense.
So be careful not to burn yourself. And for some instructions, some people said like take it to the sink and pour some water on the vessel so you can manipulate the mocha pot. So that's what I'm gonna do.
I thought the mocha pot was supposed to be easier.
So, no. Like I said, that's also a strong industrial stove, so it's a little too much. But like we were saying, this is very concentrate. So if I grab a bigger cup and put my shot of, this is a really nice shot of espresso for sure. And then add some water. And I show you the color on this coffee, you're gonna see it does looks good. You see? So I make a regular cup of coffee from the mocha pot. And these ones are like shots.
Nice.
Oh yeah. So.
It's gonna be hot. That's another thing. Wait a couple minutes until it's done.
Also a really good cup of coffee, right? Josue, would like, what I find is like pour overs, for example, taste really good when it's hot, but even if the coffee is not as hot, but like, you know, like it still tastes really good because it's like really high quality coffee, whereas the really yucky coffee, you have to drink it like really hot because then it tastes, well.
Yeah. Absolutely. For me, I actually love, especially a pour over that is kind of lukewarm. As it cools down from hot to room temperature, you go on a little bit of a journey with the coffee from, it's usually a little bit more bitter whenever it's really, really hot, but then the sweetness starts to come out as it cools down. The sugars start to become a little bit more prominent. Yeah. So I love a room temperature mix, which is kind of weird, but really good.
That's awesome. This is really great. This has been such a wonderful presentation, and I cannot thank you and Giselle and your guests here for joining and for sharing such really awesome tips with everyone. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording for this session, but I want to thank you all again, and we can continue if anybody has any questions.